Hey everyone, Magic Sword here, and if one of you leaves an Among Us comment, I will scream. So, find the imposter is the rogue quest. It's interesting. It operates off of SI7 cards, of which there is a whole slew. So we'll do the quest, and then we'll go through what the SI7 cards are. I will say up front that the quest itself is cool. Um, what it does is like very, very rogue. It just kind of generates a bunch of really cheap, really powerful effects. But the SI7 cards themselves are kind of lackluster, and we'll talk about that in general. I think there might be enough going on for Rogue to just be like, I'm going to play strong Rogue cards and this quest. Okay, sure. That might work. But I think overall, this kind of ends up being somewhere in the middle of the quests. So you'll see the first step of the quest is to play two SI7 cards and you get a Spy Gizmo. We'll talk about Spy Gizmos at the end here. All right, so then you learn the truth, presumably about Lady Prester. Then you play two more SI7 cards, and then you are marked as a traitor. You play two more SI7 cards to become Spy Master Scabs and break yourself out of jail. Okay, so that's his story. I actually really like the story told with these cards. Similar to, I guess, Varden, right? Breaking themselves out of jail, same way. So, what are spy gizmos? They are reminiscent of the little token spells from Gnomes and Goblins, Goblins versus Gnomes, rather. So we have three spells, or sorry, two spells, a weapon, and two minions, right? So they're all one mana. This is the Fizz Flash Distractor. Return an enemy minion to its owner's hand. They can't play it next turn. Spyomatic, a 1 mana 3/2. Battle Cry, look at three cards in your opponent's deck. Pick one to put on top. 1 mana Noggin Fog Generator. Give a minion +2 attack and stealth. 1 mana 3/2 Hidden Gyroblade. Death Rattle, throw this at a random enemy minion. 1 mana 2/3 Undercover Mole. It has stealth. After this attacks, add a random card to your hand from your opponent's class, which is something we haven't seen in a little bit. I'm kind of surprised they did that rather than from a different class. I guess it makes sense, the most sense thematically, but what are you gonna do? I think that all of these obviously are very strong. For 1 mana, they are very strong. Do they warrant running SI7 cards? That's a different question. So I'd say like all of these, none of them stand out as like particularly bad or particularly good or like unique to certain archetypes, right? I guess Spyomatic, Noggin Fog Generator, and Fizz Flash Distractor might see more play in an aggressive deck, right? Fizz Flash to get rid of taunts, Spy because it's aggressively statted, and you can slow down your opponent, and Noggin Fog to buff up your own guys. Gyroblade goes always as well. Undercover Mole is value generation, so it's a little different, but I'll allow it. um, so I think that overall these are powerful enough that if SI7 is a good package, this will see play. But I am very concerned about whether SI7 is a good package. So let's talk about that. SI7 Extortion. So it's not unique to just minions. It's not just agents. It is also like spells, right? So I would like to point out that the SI7 agent, the 3/3 that for 2 damage, that does work for this, I believe. It should be all SI7 cards. So there have been a couple other SI7 cards. I don't think they're in standard at the moment, but all of those should work. So keep that in mind as well. That those are like some other solid cards that end up working here. Um, so Extortion, deal 3 damage to an undamaged character, and tradable. That's pretty good. Okay, so it's 1 mana backstab, but with the extra flexibility of being tradable. I think that's very good. It lets you trade up the food chain a bit higher. 2 damage to an undamaged minion. You're pretty limited. You're basically killing 1 drops, maybe some 2 drops. This is 2s and 3s, which is, pound for pound a little better than just the 0 mana backstab. I think, plus the tradable, this might see play even without the SI7 package, right? This is a pretty good one. Garrote we already did. That's for later. Those for later. SI7 Operative is 3 mana, right? So we have one mana SI7 card, then this and the agent that we already have and have had for a long time. So this is a 3 mana rush with 2 attack, 4 health. After this attacks a minion, gains stealth. I kind of like that. Being able to give things stealth after, like, stealth and rush kind of don't play nice together, but in this exact case, it really does. So being able to stealth the minion after it already gets its attack off is pretty major to maintaining your board, I would say. I think that this isn't like, I'm not blown away by this card, but it might be good, right? It's kind of middle of the road. Rogue has some pretty powerful stuff right now, so maybe this doesn't make the cut, which is kind of the through line here with all the SI7 cards. You're like, oh, that's good. And you're like, oh wait, but is it better than what Rogue already has? That's kind of the question we need to ask ourselves, and the answer is, I think, probably not. Um, we look at here, oh my gosh, they have not too many SI7 cards, right? So we're already on the last two cards. They have four class cards that are new, and then there's one neutral that's an SI7, and then they have their old SI7 agent, right? So, 4 mana, 3/3, Battle Cry, gain +1/+1 for each SI7 card you've played this game. If you're playing this on curve, you are playing, at most, a 4 mana 6/6, right? If you have coin, you're gonna get like a 7/7 maybe. So that's, or no, yeah, 6/6. I take that back, yeah, which is like not bad, but is that like, is that what you want? Do you want just like a medium-sized minion for medium cost, or do you want to do miracle shit, right? And I think the answer is you kind of don't want this, and that goes a little bit for SI7 Assassin as well. And remember, for every mediocre SI7 card, it brings down the whole batch. It brings them all down. So, Assassin is one less for each SI7 card you played the game. Combo, destroy an enemy minion. So it's a assassinate on a stick. So at minimum, it's assassinate, take out 4 mana. It's a 3 mana 4/4 with a combo assassinate. Okay, that's like fairly costed. But you realistically, again, 7 mana card, you need to get it way the heck down. Right? You need to get this down to 4, maybe even 3 for it to be like playable. Um and again, that's not a 3 or 4 drop, because you need, probably like 6 or 7 turns of playing these cards to get it down that cheap. It just, I think it doesn't work. I think the SI7 package is a little weak. Now, I will admit there is one more card, and we're going to skip to that real quick. So we have SI7 Skulker, which is a neutral minion, which I think makes it the most useful out of all the SI7 cards. It's a stealth 2/2 with Battle Cry. The next card you draw costs 1 less. That's generally a pretty good effect. Think of this in like Battlecry Shaman, right? We'll talk about that. And then next, I don't want to say next, in one of the videos in this set of 4-ish that could all get shuffled around. um, but SI7 Skulker is, I hate to say it, but it's the best SI7 card, and it's not even specific to Rogue, right? That's not a good sign. It potentially helps you cheat out some of those larger SI7s, right? If the 4-drop becomes a 3-drop, and you only played 2, you played the 1 and the 2, and then you played that on 3, and it's still a 5/5 for 3. That's actually pretty good compared to a 4/4 or a 6/6 for 4. But is it enough? I think not. I really just don't think it's enough. Now, of course, Rogue has bounce mechanics. You're going to want to bounce this, for example. The next card, this, and then the next card you draw will be 2 less, right? I just, how many bounce mechanics can you put in? Do you run Shadow Step? Probably. Do you run any other ones? Tenwu, maybe, but do you want to use Tenwu on a cheap, like, Skulker? Or do you want to use it on Alexstrasza? Or do you want to use it on, like, an Assassin, right? Your cards that you're, those are SI7 cards, but they're more supposed to be like synergy based on the previous SI7 cards, right? So you kind of get in this weird position where um you want to be bouncing the cheap ones, not the expensive ones, but you get the most value out of bouncing the expensive ones, right? Overall, I don't have much faith in the SI7 package. I think that they're a bit weak, and the getting a random 1 out of 5 trinkets, basically, that is, overstated for its cost, is not that impressive. And just because Scabs, gives you all 5 trinkets guaranteed at the end there, right? So with Spy Master Scabs, add 1 of each spy gizmo to your hand. How useful is that? I think not very. Now, again, Rogue is like in an okay state right now. So maybe we don't hate that they're not getting amazing tools. Maybe they just need okay tools and then they'll use their good Rogue stuff to make it work. Um, but I'm just not too sure about that. I will say that they did get a very fun card, Maestra of the Masquerade. This is a 2-mana 3/2 with a completely unique effect in Hearthstone. You start the game as a different class until you play a rogue card. Now, there are a lot of implications here. The most obvious is that, yeah, you have a different hero power. But things like Pandaren Importer, they'll discover from that class. So it's a 2-mana 1/3 that gives you a spell from the class you are pretending to be. And it's neutral, so it doesn't break you out of that. But you get to discover you're not really limited by that didn't put in your deck restriction because you're not even discovering in that pool. You're still a rogue in the deck builder. You're only putting in rogue spells, but Pandaren doesn't care. Pandaren thinks you're a shaman or a druid, right? You're discovering the corresponding spells. So this is really fun. I just love this so much. Do I think it's good? No. Do I love it? Yes. Those are completely separate questions. Being able to just like mess with your opponent, very fun. Being able to just be like, oh, look at me, I'm a druid. I just keep armoring up. Oh shucks, I didn't find my ramp, right? Um, so good. But at the same time, not very helpful. Because let's say like, oh yeah, Pandaren Importer is really good because you get the, well yeah, but no other group is going to run Pandaren Importer. It's a giveaway that you're lying. The bluff just like obliterates itself because all the cards, all the neutrals that synergize because of like the bluff stuff end up not really working. So you do get this fun thing where cards like that belong to Rogue that synergize with like not being from your class, like having things shuffled into your deck that aren't from your class, for example, those get a huge boost because you are not of the class that all your deck cards are, because you're a shaman and the cards in your deck are rogue cards, right? So you get that thing where you have like a 0 mana, really powerful effect. But the second you use that, you are out of disguise. So what was the point in having the disguise? Like okay, so it just enables these like couple of cards and also like lets you mess with the mulligan of your opponent. So unless your game plan is totally opposite what the class you roll into, that 1 out of 9 or that whatever out of 9, that let's say you're playing aggro and there you roll into like you pretend to be a warrior and your opponent mulligans to fight warrior and then you just steamroll them, sure, you cannot rely on that. You just can't, right? So the thing here is like, is this deck consistent enough? Do you turn, by using this, do you turn a tier 2 aggro deck into a tier 1 aggro deck because you force people to not mulligan well? And is that a good idea? Like, metagame wise, is that fun? I don't know. I think I'm saying this is a bad card because in a scenario where it's a good card, we live in a hell world. We genuinely just have created like a super unfun game if in a world where this is a good card. This is like, it's like Deck of Lunacy. In a world where Deck of Lunacy is a good card, no one wants to live in that world. People who played Mage didn't want to live in that world. They were just doing it because it was meta, right? Like we don't. Oh no, I think this is going to be a great fun card because it's not good. End of story. I think I have to keep thinking that. I'm going to manifest it, right? So our last rogue card is the Lone Shark. 3 mana 3/4. This is our Death Rattle synergy, I guess. We got the couple of Death Rattle cards. Woo. So Battle Cry, give your opponent a coin. Death Rattle, you get 2. Cool concept, very well flavored. It's a shark, haha. Works very well. Works very, very well with the 2 Death Rattle synergies that we get, right? So you can tutor this with the Death Rattle draw and give yourself 2 coins. And you can, play it like normal and it'll die, and then you can use the weapon. Use the weapon. And it'll gain that Death Rattle, right? So in that sense, that's a pretty good Death Rattle to proc on this. Tomb Pillager is comparable. It's a 4 mana, give you 1 coin. This is literally 2 coins. So, comparable in that sense. Those are both desirable Death Rattles. This is slightly more desirable, obviously. So maybe it's good. Maybe it sees play. I still don't think there's enough going on with Death Rattles for Rogue to really lean into that. And I also don't think there's enough for them to lean into SI7. I think the SI7 stuff is cool. It's like, I'm a rogue, I'm a spy, I've got gadgets, I like that flavor. I don't like the power level. I think it's a little too weak. But then again, rogue being given a bunch of cheap stuff kind of never ends well for anyone except for the rogue. So maybe I'm totally off base about that. This is something I'm going to put, I think it's like kind of middling, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's better than I think. I think if I am wrong, I'm underestimating it, not overestimating it, right? So on the over-under here, right? It's the direction we go. So that's it for Rogue. That's all the Rogue cards. Another 20-minute video. Holy crap. I don't like doing these. I feel like they get less engagement. So let's wrap it up. Let's do the everything for YouTube, and I will see you in the next video.